Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine18. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. I am here with the final video in 31 Days of Witchcraft, hosted by Heather Carter for May 2020. As always, I'll leave a link in the description box to the series below. I hope that the sound is okay in this video. It's the only time I'm going to have to film, I think, and I am actually filming this on the day, on the 31st. And my dishwasher is running quite loudly in the background. I've done a test video. It seemed to be audible, so hopefully that's okay. I did want to get it out in the day that it was intended to be. Before I talk about the day 31 final question, I wanted to first just say a big heartfelt thank you to Heather Carter for creating this series of tags, or tag with a series of questions, I guess. I think that it was a really, really great selection of really interesting, thought-provoking kinds of questions. And I, really enjoyed seeing other folks' videos and hearing what other folks had to say. I feel like I know people better, which is interesting. I really enjoyed chats in the comments. And I found it, I found the experience of participating in this tag, much more so than other tags I've done, really pushed me in ways that I found very productive to put into words things that I feel and that I believe, and to, to really fine-tune how I use language when it comes to talking about my own practice, to really think about some ideas that I hadn't necessarily spent too much time thinking about before. So I've really personally gotten a lot out of this this series. So thank you to Heather for that, and also a thank you to all the other folks participating, and to folks who've chatted in the comments with me and on other folks' videos as well, for making so much interesting conversation over the past month. It's been really great. So without further ado, the last question that we have to discuss in the 31 Days of Witchcraft is, what is the most important lesson that your craft has taught you? And this was a tough one for me, and I, went back and forth between a couple of different directions that I might go, in talking about a lesson that my craft has taught me, or that my spiritual practice has taught me, that my magic has taught me. And where I settled on that I wanted to share is that I feel like my practice has opened for me new ways of seeing the world, and new ways of knowing about the world, and new ways of relating to the world and all of the others that I live in the world with. It sounds super cheesy, but I feel like in developing and ongoingly developing, a religious practice, a spiritual practice, and exploring magic, I have found ways of engaging with the world that are not the abstract, intellectualized kind of ways of engaging with the world that, I favored to exclusion of all others for quite a long time. I have found my intuition as a source of knowledge, a source of valid, true knowledge about the world. And, maybe it's as much as a gift my practice has given me as it is a lesson, really. But just that there are ways of knowing that are deep and experiential and intuitive and emotionally informed, that are valid and true and trustworthy, and I can trust those things in myself, and I can work to strengthen those things in myself. That intuition is a valid mode of knowing that I can strengthen in myself. And that feels really validating. That feels powerful. It feels important. I think that less kind of quote unquote objective ways of seeing the world and knowing the world are often devalued. And I do think this has to do with the ways that they are gendered, certainly. But they're not, taken seriously in ways that I think that they should be as sources of knowledge that can allow us to better our relationship with the world. And I found two little quotations. I love a quote that I wanted to throw in. And these are two quotes from two different pieces in a book, an edited collection called Godless Paganism, Voices of Non-Theistic Pagans, edited by John Halstead. And the first short one sentence by Reverend D.T. Strain is that we cannot achieve greater subjective, intuitive experience through greater objective intellectual knowledge alone. And that, I think, is a lesson that I have come to learn and really value over the course of the years that I have had a spiritual path in the way that I do now. The importance and the validity of that subjective, intuitive, experiential orientation toward the world, for sure. And, the second quote comes from Dr. Wayne Martin Mellinger, and that quote is that we must open ourselves to the mysteries of the universe with ways of knowing that integrate imagination, aesthetic sensibility, and religious intuition. And in that quote, Dr. Mellinger is talking about shifting away from just seeing the world, just seeing nature in a mechanistic, rationalized, disenchanted way. And, how that shift towards, not new ways of knowing, because they're not new, but different ways of knowing, enchanted ways of knowing the world is so important, because the mechanized view of nature has enabled so much destruction, right? Language of natural resources, things like this. I've talked about this before elsewhere. So, I'm rambling as usual. But yeah, the lesson that my path has taught me, which includes my craft practice or magical practice, but my spiritual and religious explorations more broadly as well, is the real value of intuition, and intuition as a source of knowledge about the world and a way of orienting oneself towards the world that allows for seeing and hearing the world in new ways. I appreciate that probably sounds abstract, and I don't know if I'm explaining very well, but I feel like having the spiritual practice that I have, and the magical practice that I have, and the journey that I've been on has made me relate to the world differently, and made me orient myself towards the world differently in ways that are more rounded and more holistic. And I am, always working on these kinds of things, of course, in terms of deepening my perception and really working, my intuition. I do think of intuition as a kind of muscle, that we can build up. And I'm always working on those kinds of things, but just having the sense that they're important and valuable is a lesson that I've learned, that I didn't always know, and I am glad that I'm learning that lesson. So I will leave it there. Again, thank you so much to Heather Carter for all of these great prompts, for everyone participating, whether in videos or in comments or on other social media, and for all of the great conversations that we've had over the course of the month. I will miss 31 Days of Witchcraft, even though it's always, intense to put out 31 videos in 31 days, but I will carry the thoughts that this tag has brought up, and the new directions that it has sent me exploring. I'll carry those forward, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you again soon. Have a good one.